Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and what a fun day it has been today. And look where I'm at. Yeah, old habits are hard to break. This was the first exchange that I was ever on. It's Poloniex. I was using it before Circle acquired it, and now I think it's even gone through another transition. I don't have any assets on here anymore, but for some reason, the user interface feels, I don't know, deeply familiar. So I find myself when I do watch price occasionally, I'm on this site. And today the price watching has been fun. XRP is up 8%, 8.42% over the last 24 hours. It's actually up 19% over the last 7 days, 32% over the last 30 days. Tezos is back in the green. Monero is back in the green. VeChain is back in the green. And out of the top 20 digital assets in a 24-hour period, BCH, Rogers Project, has had the largest gain. You have to always give respect to Roger. He is so responsible for a lot of the adoption that occurred early on, and I really admire his tenacity. So today, I very much enjoyed a discussion that took place between the CTO of Ripple, David Schwartz, and Charlie Shrem. Charlie is a colorful personality in this space, and if you're not familiar with him, it's probably worth your research to do because, well, if you want to understand the early history of cryptocurrency, he plays a big part. Now, this podcast is called Untold Stories, and it's 1 hour and 13 minutes long. The episode is worth watching from start to finish, not only for the untold story of the XRP ledger, but more importantly, I think there were two big points that are really good for everyone in the ecosystem to watch. One is to understand the process that Ripple has had to go through in its evolution and how it has really contributed to the space. And you'll see that Charlie recognizes that. And secondly, there is more need of this open-minded conversation regarding maximalism. And even Charlie admits that he used to taunt the Ripple XRP community on Twitter, but he has come, I think, full circle, and there is definitely a sea change, at least in this video. And if you are one that prefers to watch a podcast as a video so that you can see the faces, you can do that with the Blackwork Group channel, and they are on here so you can watch them, which is how I think I prefer it. So I want to share with you just a little bit, not a lot, because I really want to encourage everyone to watch it from start to finish. But there are some portions that tie into other stories that I wanted to talk about. So that's where I will show just a little bit. And David, as David is, he's brilliant. You know, I never get tired of hearing him speak. And I want you to listen to this portion where Charlie really does verbally recognize the amazing part of how Ripple has contributed to this space from the early beginning. Okay, have a listen here. Yeah, and David, he talks at a rapid fire rate through the entire interview. When you try to just pick out a portion, it's very, very difficult because there's no pausing. When he talks, he just goes and it just doesn't end and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I like it. I really do. But when you have to find an area of where you can just grab a segment, it's very difficult without cutting him in the mid-sentence. All right, here we go.
To exist in the future. Otherwise, that's just not going to happen. You just said that not everyone has to become a financial institution. But what's great is that what you've been doing is, through a back-end way, enabling anyone to become their own financial institution. And what I mean by that is you guys were the first company really to go out to banks, to financial institutions, to real companies, and to hedge funds and talk about cryptocurrency. Like, do you remember? I remember sitting in like your office and like just working out of my laptop, and I was a kid. I was nowhere, and I was the adult in the room. So here we are. Like, what does that say about our industry at the time? You guys were the first ones to go out there. One of the first ones to go out there and like pitch the idea of cryptocurrency to basically the legacy financial system. So it's understandable that you've had to like explain crypto to them on their terms. Like, were there any types of conversations?
Yeah, and they keep going. So it's really just great that he recognizes that in a way that I think is very substantial for the work that Ripple has been doing. And it was not easy, I think, in the beginning. Now, in this portion, you're going to hear a little bit about Swell, and you're going to hear from David, and he is talking about how he can't call Ripple the Tinder for banks, but maybe I can call them the Tinder for banks. You're going to see that it, in speaking, taking the words right out of Charlie Shrem's mouth, it's insane, it's great. So this is a little bit about understanding Swell.
So I always have to check to see what information we can disclose.
It was like, so just say there's a lot. There's a lot. Do you have a lot?
Yeah, there's over 300 financial institutions in various stages of deployment, and that's where I think I'll give you another interesting statistic.
The extent of going from proof of concept to now you have a robust, ecosystem of banks and financial institutions. That was the purpose.
Right. And one of the key pivots on that for us was SWELL. So if your listeners don't know what SWELL is like a conference that Ripple started to allow our customers to kind of talk to each other and potential customers. And one of the key pivots for SWELL was when we realized that we had customers who were on our network who just weren't exchanging, who just didn't know that they were there. So there might be some customer who had some capability to clear funds in some place, and there was another customer who just didn't know that was available on the network. And so we started sort of matchmaking between our customers. I'm not allowed to call it Tinder for banks, so I won't do that. But the basic idea of what
I remember hearing about this, and I'm like, wait, a crypto company is running a banking conference? What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's great. It's awesome. I mean, like, just that. It shows where we are today.
Well, especially for payment companies, like non-bank payment companies, it's tremendously valuable for them because many of them have capabilities that are beyond what banks have. Like they've built their own networks. Earthport's a good example. Like they've built a network that has fantastic payment capabilities, but they need ways for customers to connect to them. They need standardization of the agreement process so they don't have to negotiate these complex contracts, and technical standards for the exchange of information. And once you have a customer who's on RippleNet, like all of that stuff's already done. So if you have two RippleNet customers who have some ability, one of them has some financial service that the other one wants, that process can be tremendously streamlined. And so that becomes part of the pitch. So it's like, when we talk to a financial institution or bank, it's like, here's what RippleNet can do for you today. Here's where RippleNet is going in the future and how it can provide these, services for you that we're building out. But also, we will sort of be your marketing department. If you have some financial service that you can provide, let's say you can clear shekels into Israel. We'll go to our other customers and ask them, like, who needs to clear shekels into Israel? And we'll look for people who need to clear shekels into Israel to join RippleNet to become your customers. We'll act as sort of an adjunct to your sales capability because we're talking to banks and asking them what problems they have. So it kind of grew into this sort of matchmaking, building technology, and
infrastructure. You literally, what you're describing is just a whole, like, capital and credit markets. I mean, it's a whole other ecosystem. It's these institutions and people to talk to each other, and it's insane. It's great.
It's insane. It's great. So he gets it, and I'm just really happy that they were able to discuss it in this manner. So I want to then just remind everyone that one of the Ripple Swell regionals for North America is going to happen on Wednesday in the United States. It's going to be a webinar. It's 1 to 1.5 hours long, and they are going to take their RippleNet customers and network with prospects. And this is a private event, so no, we are not allowed to participate, but this is such an important part now of growing the network and creating value for people who are entering or creating more value for people who are already in. And SBI is going to have a free public webinar on August 5th. I registered for it. I'll report back. I think I'm very curious, mostly because in the promotional card, look at this, SBI Ripple Asia, Ripple X. Now, this is not an XRP logo. This says Ripple X. I don't know what this is. Now, did the graphic designer who made this just grab an X to think that it looks like a Ripple or a XRP logo? I don't think so. I don't think you'd make that mistake. So I don't know. This has my curiosity. So I did get on to the registration that you can see here. I only recognized one other name, and that is Emi Yoshikawa. If they get an overwhelming demand of people who want to attend, it's going to go to lottery. So I really don't find out if I'm going to be able to attend for sure until about an hour or two in my email, where I'll get a link. So it starts on, the 5th at 3 p.m. There's going to be 2 speakers. I'm excited. I hope I get to be one of those to participate, or at least to passively listen. And this is exactly why I want to drive this home again. This is exactly why I tweeted this out yesterday, because I wanted everyone to check this. SBI mediated as a matchmaker. Okay, so he's playing Tinder here in Japan to hook up a regional bank, one of the SBI tie-ups. He's making strategic investments in the regional banks to create these tie-ups so he can create a 4th mega bank. So he chose this regional bank that he'd done a tie-up with, and then he found a company who recruits foreign engineers from Southeast Asia, so places like Vietnam, Nepal, etc. And those are jobs that are needed to be filled here in Japan. There is a labor shortage. So he then found that company that recruits the Southeast Asian engineers, so that then he hooks them into the SMEs, the small to medium-sized enterprises in the region. So it's a win-win-win. You've got the SME that is getting business from this connection. Then he takes the cross-border remittances. And of course, if he is going to do a cross-border remittance in a liquid corridor, there is going to be XRP that facilitates that currency conversion. So that's where the RippleNet technology and XRP make a play. And then he's got the regional bank that he's made a tie-up with get all this new business. So he did it all in one swoop. This is exactly the point that I wanted to make yesterday. And I think after seeing David's interview, it's much more clear how they are just doing more than just building technology and hoping people come. No, they're out there actually matchmaking so that they can create an ecosystem, a complete market, a system that is sticky, a system that is healthy, robust, and has the potential to grow. So this is where it's at. This is what they're doing. And you know, this move that he made as a matchmaker made it to the Nikkei. The Nikkei is like making it to the Singapore Straits or the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times. So there are the financial readers of this Keizai-teki economy that is starting to really pay attention to what SBI is doing. All right, I just want to go a little bit on the lighter side, okay? There was also some information that came my way. Somehow I found this, that SBI auction is going to take a piece called Hot Summer by the artist Mr. Doodle, and it will go on to a live stream auction on the 1st of August. It's interesting. It's estimated to bring somewhere between $1 million to 1,500,000 yen, which is about $10,000 US. And I think, it's being put up for auction by the Setagaya gallery called Anzai, which I've not been to, but they, I think, have the exclusive rights to this artist. His name is Sam Cox. He's 26 years old. He's better known as Mr. Doodle. He says that he has OCD, which is, in his words, obsessive compulsive drawing. He started scribbling on his parents' furniture as a child, and he's never stopped. And his doodling became his art, and now he is very, very successful with a career in artwork. I just loved, he did the MTV artwork too. It's just really fun. You know, it is really fun. It reminds me of the Keith Haring. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but not that I want to always compare artists. Sometimes when people compare music to another music artist, and it's maybe not always the best thing to do, but we have a tendency to do that, right? We see something that gives us a reminder. So maybe he was inspired by Keith Haring's work too. I'm not sure. And if you don't get to Setagaya, which is a part of Tokyo, you can visit the Mr. Doodle online viewing exhibition in Tokyo for his display of work online, which I thought was super nice. And now this is where I got the title of this video. I just want you to hear, I think, the very end of this discussion with the two of them. I just want you to hear the closing words from Charlie.
I like Bitcoin as much. I like Bitcoin as much as anyone. I was an early adopter. It did well for me financially. I can't complain. I love the technology. It's what brought me into the industry. But I didn't think that was the end of innovation.
And that's okay. So that's what something that, let's end off on that for everyone. It's okay to love Bitcoin and I'm getting a UPS package. It's okay. You just leave it right there. Thank you. It's okay to love Bitcoin and to agree that it's not the end of the innovation cycle. And I think that's something that a lot of maximalists grapple with, is they believe that it is the end all be all. And it's not really like, it's just not that it's not fair. It just doesn't make sense. Like, as human beings, that we can just like slap a label and say, this is it. Like, I'm so committed. I am God. Like, what are you? Do you know everything? Do you know everything about everything that you can just say? So I think, but if I didn't go to prison, I wouldn't be as open-minded as I am today. So that's another thing. And would never wish that on anyone else. But anyway.
I just loved what he said. If I'd never gone to prison, I would never have been as open-minded as I am today. Oh, Charlie, you were on my wall of shame list. You are officially off that list. I remember I went to the mat with you in a video a couple years ago because of what you were saying. I'm so happy to see this video, and I'm so thankful that David had this discussion, and it just makes me super, super happy. I am a lover of the entire space, so this is really a big, big discussion for the space to learn from. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I got the Hakuichi portion of my coil site. This is the extended fluff, and I did a fluff that talked about the gold leaf artisans that are in Japan, and I just wanted to remind everyone I got it done. You can find a link to it down in the description below. And also, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, everybody who supported me in the BitTrue Community Awards. And I was just thrilled and surprised and so happy to have that support in winning those two categories. I just want to thank everyone very, very much. And then this is just something, I do a journal. I'm not sure if all of you know, and it's okay, I'm not promoting the journal, but what I wanted to say is yesterday, I had a little bit of a conversation with C3 Nick, and I think that everybody considered him as a member of the Ripple Army, but he has a kind of a new message pinned to his Twitter, and he says, again, for the 500th time, his rough guess, I am not an XRP fan, I am an investor. And in fact, XRP makes up just 0.3% of my portfolio right now. So I had just kind of made the comment in my journal that maybe it caught some people by surprise, and that his tweet that he put out yesterday, many of them were also very hard-hitting, and his solid and legitimate questions regarding the use of on-demand liquidity, ODL, or the lack thereof, especially among those who would expect to be using XRP, like Santander and SBI. Now, I really think SBI, well, they have said, so this isn't an assumption or a guess, they said that they are going to roll out ODL, but it is just a little surprising that it's been so long. It feels so late. And the fact, too, that Santander just said that they don't use it in their mobile app. And according to the person who, I don't know if they're in the know or not, they said they didn't have plans to. So I think it's just all the more reason that it gives the holders the purpose to drill down and find the answers. And that I said to C3 Nick, I'm not going to ignore this, and I plan to focus in my research going forward, and it's going to take some real detective work. I think that's for the Santander. But the detective work has started, so that is what I wanted to bring out. And that detective work is starting with Sam's tweet, and I hope he gets a response to this. So yeah, there was this tweet from Santander that said that they were not going to use ODL. So Sam had said that, well, that's very interesting. Ripple has touted their Santander relationship several times, and here they are talking about cross-border app, saying they don't and won't use ODL. And yeah, if you remember, there was a big promotion of one of the Santander people in a kind of a Ripple insight. And so it just, yeah, it's just not making a lot of sense to a lot of us. So I hope we get an answer from either David or Mr. Garlinghouse or somebody that can just shed some light, because I think it makes everyone feel a little uncomfortable. Actually, that would be putting it mildly. All right, I'm just doing a shout out to somebody in the community who has Moonware. It's not just XRP, it also has some Bitcoin logos, but it's cool. It's great. I wanted to just be sure, if you are looking for a new line, the designs are good, and there is a hoodie down here, which is always kind of fun. So this is moonwearclothing.com. All right, we are officially jumping to the fluff. Wow, I got micro size here. That's okay. I'm going to talk about a drink that has a very new label that's been, I've never seen anything like it before, but I have to first introduce to you the drink. This is called Kalpis soda, or karapisu in Japanese. Now, I know it sounds like cow piss, right? Which is kind of funny. You know, it's like Mr. Kitao named his platform to issue coins for the local communities here, the C coin. And I think it's confusing everybody. I mean, the S coin, everybody thinks he's got a new coin, but it's actually the S coin is just a platform to issue those local regional currencies to raise tourism dollars or gift certificates in a digital form that are issued by the government. So anyway, I think when you're in Japan, you get used to a lot of things that are named borrowing from some sort of English, but either it doesn't make sense or the sense that it makes is always like hysterical. So this is one of those hysterical names where in English it sounds like cow piss, but it is karapisu. And the cow comes from calcium. The piss is Sanskrit for butter. And it's a non-fat milk drink, slightly bubbly. It's sweet, and they promote it for sports and especially during summer. So it's to hydrate you. And I didn't know this, but I just did a tiny bit of research before I wanted to really share with you the very creative, inventive labeling that they've done in this new series. But the founder actually traveled to the Inner Mongolia and Kazakhstan region back in 1904, and he encountered this traditional cultured milk called kumis. It's a raw, unpasteurized horse milk that people have been drinking. It's churned like butter, and it's slightly carbonated when it goes through kind of a fermentation. And it is an ancient beverage dating back to the 5th century. I just didn't know this. So even for me, the fluff is always a fun learning project. Here is something that is in a bottle form now. Looks kind of good. You know, I'm not a big milk drinker, but I can imagine this is probably pretty good. So we'll jump back to Japan. This is the typical Calpis soda bottle, but they've got a new series of anime. And the thing is about this anime is that there is another picture that emerges when you empty the bottle. So after you drink it, you actually see a lot more to the animation label. And let me explain. So there is, I'm going to give you 3 examples. There's lots and lots of different labels. Here's 3. Here's a young man walking, kind of scratching his head, right? And you don't see anything in the background here. It's just an off-white cream color. And then here is what looks to be a young schoolgirl in her school uniform, and she's at the ocean kicking the water. And here is someone who looks like they're waving to somebody, practicing their saxophone. All right, now I want to show you when you do empty that bottle, you start to see the whole picture becomes visible. So actually, let me show you in the detail. Actually, for the boy scratching his head, he's walking with a girl home from school. And when you look at the girl who's practicing her saxophone, she's actually on a rooftop with another one of her schoolmates who has, looks like a French horn. Someone's going to correct me on that one. I think it's a French horn. And then the one where the girl is kicking the water, what appears then is another friend on the other side who is receiving that kicked water. So how fun is that to have these labels completely transform into a full picture once the beverage has been consumed? Really interesting. I want to try it. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.